Hey guys, it's Alan, the Fireman 1028, and today I'm back at T's Eurocycles on Freedom Drive in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I'm standing with one of the most important motorcycles of the 20th century. All right guys, so what's so important about this 1982 CX500? Well, let's just look at the front of the bike and it might tell us. Say hello to 1982 CXT 500 or the CX500 Turbo. This bike in particular is a dang near museum quality piece that could go right into the Barber Museum down in Alabama and probably wouldn't need a single thing done to it. This is a 100% original, unrestored 1982 Honda CXT 500. Let's take a look at this dash. Turbo! Look at that, it's got a turbo gauge at the top right there. This thing has 3,553 miles. Guys, this might be the best condition, non-museum piece, Honda CX500 Turbo. Now, you ask, what makes this motorcycle so important? How about 250 individual patents on this motorcycle alone? How about the first motorcycle that was fuel injected by Honda? How about one of the first commercial applications of a turbocharger on a motorcycle? This thing was absolutely groundbreaking at the time. Now, the designer was Soichiro Imijara, and if I'm messing that name up, I do apologize. This was a famous engineer with Honda. This man's still alive now. He designed the original, the GL 1100, which was the first Gold Wing. He also was the designer of the CBX bike, which was the famous, inline 6-cylinder bike. And he was tasked with taking, learning turbocharging and all that has to do with it, and seeing if it was applicable to be put into production as a means of fighting, rising cafe standards, fuel crisis, all that jazz from the late 70s and early 80s. And what Honda decided to do was to not take the easiest motor or the easiest bike try to turbocharge it, which would have been one of their inline 4-cylinders. Honda wanted to take the most difficult motorcycle that they had to use a turbocharger on, and to attempt to turn it into a production turbocharged model, which was the CX500. Now, the CX500, when it was designed in the late 70s, it was designed with a lot of room for growth in it, with larger bearings and crankshaft and all that jazz. So it had plenty of room to grow. The engine itself, the original CX500, was not a slouch. I mean, it was a 498cc longitudinal V-twin, which, standing over here at T's Eurocycles, as a matter of fact, let's do this. Let's walk right over here and let's look at this bike right here. So what do we have here? We have a Moto Guzzi V7 Stone, okay? We have a longitudinal V-twin, we have a drive shaft, and we have fuel injection. This is a 2023, 2024 model. Honda was doing this back in 1982. Now, it's not coincidence that they chose the V-twin, the longitudinal V-twin with the shaft drive. Moto Guzzi was one of their direct competitors, and the reason they did that. Now, a couple things you'll notice about this engine here is that it's not a traditional 90 degree. It's like a 40. I'll put the exact angle of the engine on the screen here, but it's also the engine itself is actually canted slightly forward a couple degrees, and what that does is that gives the rider more room as opposed to a perfectly V-twin engine. The non-turbocharged model puts out 48 horsepower, but the turbocharged model puts out 82 horsepower at 8,000 RPM and 58.2 foot-pounds of torque, and still returned about 48 miles per gallon. This bike has a 5.2 gallon fuel tank up top here. This bike spent over a month in the wind tunnel perfecting every possible design feature of it to make it as aerodynamic as possible. Even the turn signals, look at this. Even the turn signals were designed in the wind tunnel to maximize or minimize drag and to maximize the protection on the rider. Look at this thing. This is peak 80s design. Look at these wheels. Look at these 3-spoke Comstar wheels. Are those not freaking awesome? So, you know, turbocharging was not new. I mean, Honda was not the first one to ever turbocharge a motorcycle. I mean, there was the 1978 Kawasaki, the Z1R TC. It was a turbocharged Z1. However, before you left the dealership buying one of those, you had to actually sign a waiver saying that Kawasaki is not responsible for anything that happens on that motorcycle, and there was no powertrain warranty that came with it. Again, this was the first mass-produced turbocharged application that came with a full regular warranty. Guys, this is groundbreaking. Turbochargers don't work well with the carburetors, so what Honda had to do is they had to go out and develop their own fuel injection system. Datsun was about the only company that was making that had fuel injection computers, but those computers wouldn't really work in the higher RPMs that Honda needed, so they designed and developed their own fuel injection system and computers, and that got them into the fuel injection game. Tires we have 190/18 tire on the front, and we got a 120/90/18 on the rear, so 18s front and rear. This bike weighs 485 pounds dry. You're like, oh, that's not too bad. That sounds pretty good for 82 horsepower. Yeah, the problem is that it weighs 579 pounds wet. This thing holds a lot of oil. The CX design of the engine, it's a really, and it looks a lot like a Moto Guzzi sitting over there. But this thing holds a lot of oil, a lot of coolant, and everything else. So this is a rather heavy motorcycle. The turbo was a 48 millimeter. So we have a 48 millimeter turbo, and this thing spins normally at 180,000 RPM and can handle up to 240,000 RPM. The turbo, as you can see, it's mounted crosswise in front of the engine. It's close to the exhaust to help it spool up, and that's to help prevent the turbo lag. However, with the amount of piping and everything else that's in this bike, the turbo lag was absolutely massive. A V-twin is not a natural engine that for a turbocharged application. So what Honda did was to offset the uneven intake and exhaust pulses of the 80 degree. This is an 80 degree V-twin. The CXT stores air that has been pressurized by the turbo, and it has got these two plenums, and they're called surge tanks. So their surge tanks are over here in the front of the engine. So it actually stores pressurized air in these tanks, and those tanks are actually what feed the engine from the turbocharger. So it's not a direct turbocharger into the intake. So it's actually, you have these two tanks, and those are pressurized with the turbo air, and then that's forced inside there. And what that does is that helps, kind of acts as a baffle or a buffer of pressurized air and feeds the engine. So I mean, just the amount of technology and engineering that went to this bike was absolutely incredible. Honda chose the CX platform for a couple reasons. It was water cooled, and water cooling is an absolute necessity on a turbocharged application. The V-twin, the 500cc or 498cc V-twin, is significantly lighter than the 550 inline 4 that they produced, and the CX model, the CX line, kind of it replaced the CB550 line, and so this is cool right here. So Honda, this statement here reminds me of the old JFK statement of we choose to go to the moon not because it's easy but because it's hard. So Honda, they chose this platform to turbocharge not because it was easy but because it was hard. So with an uneven fire impulse, which doesn't lend itself to a turbocharging application, Honda knew that if they could make turbocharging work on this engine, they can make it work on any platform. How freaking awesome is that? So we have a 39 millimeter air fork in the front, and you have a Pro-Link rear shock in the back. Check that back out right there. So this bike, they only sold about 3,000 copies, 3,000 to 5,000 copies. I'll put the exact number up here on the screen. They didn't sell many of them, okay? And the CX500 was only around for one model year, and then Honda turned around and bored that engine out. They had enough, again, they had enough room inside the engine. The engine was well overbuilt for the 500cc, and turned it into a CX650, and then turbocharged that application. But this bike cost $5,000 in 1982, okay, which is the equivalent of $16,700 today. All right, guys, so we've talked about the bike, we've looked at all the specs, and we've talked about the history of it. Let's fire this thing up. Now, unfortunately, riding this thing is not going to be an option right now. So let's check out that cool dash again. Full digital dash, digital time, the clock on the side. You got a digital turbo gauge at the top. Look at this. This thing is like museum quality. Let's fire this thing up. Listen to that. So at idle, it's just your normal CX500, which is a really cool bike by itself. Now, much like a modern day Moto Guzzi, when you rev this thing up, the whole bike shakes. Check this out. With that longitudinal V-twin, your cylinders are going like this, so that torque shakes it. Now, what's something that's really cool about it is that the drive shaft actually turns, not the drive shaft, the crankshaft actually turns the opposite direction to help cancel out some of those rotations. So riding the bike, it's incredibly smooth and comfortable. In 1982, Honda didn't just build a motorcycle, they built a statement. The CX500 Turbo, the world's first factory turbocharged bike. A machine so far ahead of its time, it felt like it rode straight out of the future. Its 497cc V-twin force-fed by a turbocharger and leased 82 horsepower and up to 19 psi of boost. Power that came on like a switch. One moment calm, the next a surge of jet-fueled fury. Wrapped in futuristic fairings and digital gauges, it was bold, brave, and unapologetically 80s. The CX500 Turbo, proof that Honda dared to dream louder, faster, and under boost. All right, guys, so that's going to wrap up our first look. I wish it was a first ride. It's going to wrap up our first look of one of the most important motorcycles of the 20th century, the 1982 Honda CX500 Turbo. And again, the groundbreaking technology, with the stuff we look at today that we take for granted, with turbocharged engines and fuel injection and all this stuff. This is not stuff. This is stuff that Honda broke ground with in 1982 on this motorcycle right here. So you're looking at absolute piece of history. And on top of that, this is one of the finest examples of a bike like this that you're ever going to find. I mean, like I said, this could be in the Barber Vintage Museum easily, but it's here at Team Charlotte Motorsports, T0 Cycles. If you want to see this bike or come check out anything that T has over here, Aprilia and Moto Guzzi, which, hey, you want a longitudinal V-twin with a drive shaft? Oh, look, they got a bunch of them in here. So if you want to see Moto Guzzis and Aprilias and Vespas and any Euro motorcycle, I mean, look at all these Euro bikes behind me over here. Come see T and the guys up here in Charlotte. And, if you see anything that you like, please like, comment, and subscribe. Subscriptions for me are the absolute ultimate compliment. It tells me that what I'm doing is resonating with people. And if you're a fan of this bike right here, or of older Hondas, or just older motorcycles in general, share the video with somebody else. Shares really go a long way for helping with the algorithms and everything else. So thank you guys for watching. God bless, roll tide, and remember, tomorrow needs you. Thanks, guys.